So, in terms of setup, first we sort of went to obviously getting the club set down to golf ball correctly, making sure the grip of the golf club, left hand is going to go on first, making sure left wrist is sort of on top. Ideally, sort of see a couple of knuckles, but check your left wrist stays on top of the grip, and this thumb needs to be on top there. If it sort of starts sliding here when you get to the top of the back, so now it's going to be all very loose and wobbly. Any wobble in there is going to lose a lot of control with your head end, obviously. So keeping that thumb there. You went for the interlock grip, yeah? And that feels comfortable, which is fine. Thumb now just sort of sits on top there with your left hand. Your grip now, to be fair, is pretty much tick the box and we're fine there, okay? So in terms of setup, once you're in that position there now, the focus of now the swing, as we said, is trying to create basically a circle, okay? So if that's your circle there, okay? So previously, as the club went back, sort of moved a little bit off that blue line, and then your left foot now started to move. So not only were you moving this way off the golf ball, further from it, you're moving that way from the golf ball further back. So if you start off where you did with your head in the middle of that blue line and you move that way and also that way, you've now got a lot further from the golf ball. Now a lot in golf is that much, okay, because the golf ball's less than 2 inches. So if you move 2 inches back and away, unless your arms get 2 inches longer, which we know not going to happen obviously, you're going to come back and at best you're going to sort of catch top of the golf ball. So with that foot moving back and away now, your weight was sort of staying on that right side to try and sort of lift the golf ball up in the air. You came back, hit up on the ball, the ball is shooting on the ground there, and when you sort of finish this swing, a bit of a flick there with the wrist and sort of staying most of your time on your right foot. Your right foot hasn't really moved at all throughout that swing. This left foot's been sort of moving around just because of the speed in which you create with your arm, which is fine, and speed is a good thing, okay, if it's used in the right way. If it's used with just the arms and the body sort of not really controlling that, you'll see a lot of golfers in their first few inches on the golf course, on the range, that foot jumping away because they're just spinning around so quickly, you can't tell on the ground. So what we're trying to do is sort of swing that golf club now, move to the left from here. So as you start moving the body now, we're going to move onto that left side. There's a bit of a drop down, but a much better contact. You can see your head now, you're kind of sort of centred on that blue line. Good strike as we can see the ball now sort of shooting off the club face there. And when you finish this swing now, you're a little bit more on top of the golf ball. Now in an ideal world, we would finish a bit more on that line there, okay? You're still a little bit back slightly, but for the most part, he is staying on the ground somewhere. As you said, the practice drill you can do, this foot would obviously be moving up a little bit off the toe and rolling and rotating like so. You can practice that exercise, say living literally at home, brushing your teeth twice a day in front of the mirror. Not just do anything extra in your life, just stand there and rather than sort of stand still, you can just practice that movement and that will become almost second nature then, okay? It's something that golfers who've been playing a long time can do. It's sort of a natural move to them if we just do it automatically. And I think a lot of times, if I said to you, throw a ball, or even to some extent hit a tennis ball with a tennis racket, if you were going as a right-handed player, hit a forehand shot with some power, there'd be some sort of twist through the racket, there'd be some twist through this hip. So once this hip starts twisting, okay, that's when we're going to get the power, and that's when this foot's going to start rising up. I think sometimes when you think other sports like tennis, hockey, badminton, squash, where you want the ball up in the air, the tendency to do that is just sort of lean back and do this. So you're on your back foot hitting up on the ball. With all those games, the ball or whatever is up in the air. Game of golf balls on the ground. So if we try to hit up on the ball, we will just top it all day. Okay, unless the ball's sat up on a tee peg like so on the range and you sort of just swing up in the air, that's all well and good. But when you're on the golf course, every shot's on the ground for the majority. You tee off on the tee with one of them as a big chunky head driver you might see on the TV, and then most of your shots then are played off the ground. If you can't get the golf club to come down to the ground and you're trying to lift up all the time, all you'll get is top shots and the ball running on the ground. And unfortunately, the more then you try to lift the ball up in the air, the more on the back foot you're going to be, the more your left foot's going to move. So if we can get that movement down, just working on that twisting through the hips, get the body working better, we can start creating a finished position that will look more with the body up there, the hips and the shoulders and the body rotate around. Your hips starting to come through a little bit more, obviously, than that one there now, but he'd be up on his toe fully and the knees would have sort of come together in that sort of balanced position. Okay, once you get your body doing that, your hands and arms then can swing to a point in some ways as fast as they like, because the body's creating the movement. At the moment, your arms are doing the movement and your body was like trying to sort of just keep up with that and just lost a bit of balance there in the process. Okay, so does that make sense in you?
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
Good stuff.